what state? I said, Pennsylvania. He said, where? I said, Lancaster. He said, you wouldn't even Lititz, would you? I said, yeah, he knew me, but I didn't know him. And he said, what did you eat last? I said, last Sunday. This was Saturday. And he got me a dehydrated fig bar, and I took 3 bites of it and puked everything out. I was so nervous and shook, you know. And there was a colonel there. It was the 120th Infantry Division, 30th Infantry Division, 120th Regiment that picked me up. And this colonel said, Sergeant, he said, I want you to stay with us tonight and tell us what happened. And I told him, he said, you're going to the hospital. Well, the next day, they took me to the hospital. I couldn't walk. They gave me a cot to sleep on, and it was warm. And when my feet hit that blanket, I couldn't scream. Hurt! And these feet all swelled up, you know. He said, you're going to the hospital. They put me in the field hospital in Belgium, a town named Mearig. And the first night I was there, the Germans strafed the hospital. And I took out through that hospital.
Please excuse this interruption. Would Dr. Elder please page the office? Dr. Elder, please page the office. Thank you.
And for the next month or so, I didn't know where I was. I was so befuddled. I mean, I can remember 2 things mostly. That one day I was in a white building, and they said, if you want something to eat, you have to walk down the road, and there's a place down there where they're repairing tanks. And I put burlap bags around my feet and started to walk down the road. It was icy, and after a while I heard this buzz bomb coming. A buzz bomb was a weapon the Germans had. It was like shaped like an airplane, but it was unmanned, didn't have nobody in it. And when it would stop the noise, it was going to land. And I was about 50 feet from it, and here it started coming down. And all I sort of heard, then after a while I heard a big explosion, and I saw a big flashlight. Big flash of light, and all the windows and all the roof ceiling tile on these houses went out, you know. And there I was laying in the middle of the road. I crawled back in that house. I wasn't hungry anymore. And then the next I knew, I was in a place in France. It was a child's orphanage. It had all children in there, and I was on the 3rd floor. And they said, if you want something to eat, you got to go down in the basement to eat. So I went down and had American rations. I used to take a canteen cup. I'd fill it up with sugar and milk, canned milk, and go outside and get snow and eat ice cream. That's what I ate. And for a whole month, I didn't know where I was. And finally, they said to me, how you feeling? I said, good. My feet started to go down, you know, I couldn't walk right. But they said, can you fire an M1 rifle? I said, yeah, that's what I trained with. Well, they said, you're going back to your second chance. And my buddy from Montjoy, he went to the same hospital I did, and they sent him to England, but they put me back in the line again. And they didn't know, you know. And anyhow, I went back in the line again, and put us in. I was there, and they took us on the firing range for 2 days in France. We fired in one rifle to get us pepped up again, you know, going back as a rifleman. And we kept going through Germany, and the war finally ended, and I was in Pilsen, Czechoslovakia. And I can tell you a lot of war stories, a lot of things that happened. Last time I talked to a group, little boy wanted to know if I ever shot anybody. Well, I'll tell you, if you ever shoot anybody, you'll never forget his face. It's always you live. But I never shot anybody. But I had a man one time, he got down on his hands and knees and prayed that I wouldn't shoot him, a German. We took an area by surprise in Holland, and they told us there's 50-some Germans down there who wouldn't surrender. They asked for volunteers to flush them out. Of course, I was crazy at that time yet. I said, I'll help. So we were in the gate, and here he was chopping wood from the fireplace, I guess. So he was down his knees, and he started crying, Nick Shiza. I said, live in Nick Shiza. But I turned around to take off, and he had a rifle back against a tree. He went for his rifle. That was his last step he took. And one day, my buddy and I from Bedford, we were directing artillery fire, and there were 2 German pillboxes across the way, you know, we watched it. There was a stalemate in front. The Germans used to give them calisthenics, and the artillery didn't have much to fire. So I said, Jordan, his name was Oscar Jordan, they named the Vietnam post after him out there. He was killed. If we should send call in for coordinates, see if they'll do it. And no, they said, sure, we had nothing to shoot at. Let's give us something to shoot at. So I said, okay. So we called in the coordinates, and we asked for 1 salvo, and he sent it in. And the next day they sent on patrol, they come on 12 dead Germans. So we got our share. One day we were on a convoy, we're going through town, and some boy come running after me with a hand grenade, and that's the last step he took, but I never shot him. I don't know how he got killed, but he really didn't move any further. But that's the way it goes, and if you want to know anything else, and then after the war, you know, I was ready to come home, and he wouldn't leave us come home. We had to stay in trial over there in Germany. This first SS Panzer Division, when the war was over, they went to these different prisoner war compounds and tried to get some of the members that were in this first SS Panzer Division. And believe it or not, they found the colonel that gave the order to kill everybody. It was called the Malmedy Massacre. And what happened, they put him, and his own buddies would squeal on him because he was so ruthless. When he was in Russia, he'd take a town in Russia, he'd set the town on fire and could have killed all the women, babies, and everything. They called him Blowtorch Piper. And he was a 26-year-old German colonel, and he had 40 Germans and him that was in his first SS Panzer Division, and it was 14 of us had to stay over there and try to identify these guys. They'd take us in a room like this and have big tables and have these Germans march in front of us and had big numbers on them, and you had to try to identify them. They told us, he said, if you recognize anything, damn sure, because they're sure as heck got to be hung. But it was too hard because when we were prisoners, they all had black uniforms on. They were all SS troops. Most of them all had the Iron Cross. They were just ruthless, ruthless, ruthless Germans. And my outfit wasn't killed in combat. They were murdered. Do you know what I mean? After we surrendered, they shot them, put them in the field. It's not like we had a lot of my buddies, you know, were killed. Like we had a wire crew, you know, we communicated from odd post to odd post by telephone. And we had the Germans would find our wires and they'd splice them. I mean, they'd cut them, you know. And we'd send a wire crew, usually 2 men or 3 men out, to try to find this splice or this cut, and to splice them so we can communicate. And one day we sent 3 men out in the Jeep, and they went out, they found where it was cut with a knife, and they were there fixing their wire, and 2 Germans got out and took them prisoner. And this one guy that was in the Jeep, he kept his motor running, and he put it in gear and took off. Well, when he took off, the Germans fired at him with a machine gun, and he come crawling into us. His whole bottom of his face was shot away. And a couple days later, or a couple months later, or 2 months, we had a letter from him in Nebraska. He was in the hospital. He asked if we found his pocket, his wallet. He said he can't find his wallet. But I can tell you, another thing I'll tell you, that this story, we were in Holland, and we did a lot of looting. We did a lot of things I'd be ashamed to tell you. We did a lot of looting. We'd go in these houses, and I'd say, Flo, what's happening if I ask, what do you have to eat? And always he'd say, nothing, nothing, nothing. I said, and I bet is, let's look. So this is a pretty big home in Holland. And we went in the house, and I said, asked her what she had to eat. She said, nothing. So I said, let's look everywhere. We went upstairs, and they had a big board with a big caster, we call it. And I said, let's push this aside. We pushed it aside. She had ham, bacon, canned goods. We took everything she had. And she screamed and hollered. She said, I'm going to not eat, I'll die. So she said, if you promise you won't take all my food, I'll show you where some dead Americans are. And I said, whoa. And she said, come with me in Mearig. I said, boss, there was only a couple trees in the back of our house. We went back there. There was 21 dead GIs laying on a pile. And I said, who killed these Americans? She said, the Volkssturm. In other words, when they had no soldiers, they got the German civilians and the kids to shoot the patrols when they came in. And they put them back there in a pile. So I called grave registration. I said, we have 21 GIs over here we found. Will you come pick them up? He said, oh, we're so busy, will you bring them in? So we loaded them on my 3/4 ton Dodge, and we took them to the holding area, and I said, well, we're so busy. He said, take them up to the cemetery. So we took them up to Henry Sapel's cemetery, dumped them out in the ground. There was a pile everywhere on the front line. You see dead everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Don't matter along the roads and tanks, especially when they have a tank battle. They'd try to get out of the tank, and they'd be hanging over the tank, and the top would be scorched, but the bottom part of them would be perfect. We did a lot of things about this machine to tell you.
Dad, aren't those fields in this
What?
life, those,
She said I've talked long enough.
not,
What?
I said, aren't those fields in this life magazine?
The what?
Those, the fields of the.
Oh, yeah, this is, I brought this along to show you this one picture. This was 1945. This is right after the war. It's way in the front here. Look for these.
Well, here, let me have it.
This is our buddies laying in the, oh yeah, this massacre happened December the 17th,
I want to see it.
1944, and it took 21 days until the Americans got up there, and he had to use lie detectors to find the bodies. And they, pages. That's the salient.
That's your field though.
Here it is. Here's my buddies all lying there in the snow day. See them? You see that? And I knew every one of them. What they did, grade registration came up there, and they took brooms and swept the snow off them, and they were all stiff as a board because it was 50 degrees below zero, and they took them to the building, and they had to try to identify them. They took pictures of every one of them. And a couple of us guys went up and said, that's who it is, that's who it is. And you'd be surprised. There was 87 were killed that afternoon. And
Do you want to show them the swastika?
oh yeah, I'm going to show you this. This is a flag that I took off of the German building. What we used to do after the war, we'd go in these German towns and we'd rap at the doors at 4 o'clock in the morning. Get them all out of bed, and we'd rap at the door and they'd say, how much the photo operator, the Messer on the Schießer? Do you have cameras, guns, or knives? And they'd give them to us, and we'd put them on 2.5 ton trucks and take them out and burn them. That's a German flag I took off the building in Leipzig, Germany.
What's this one?
And, well, I can let that one in, that's just a small one.
Oh, I can
Also, this was their, that was their, what you call it, you know, and that helmet,
Or
you
what
look
you call
at
it.
that helmet, you never even shake
This is
that.
their, what you call it.
But honestly,
This helmet is so unbelievably heavy, and he wore this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
it saved a million lives.
Feel how heavy that is. And imagine running down a football field or down a field with that.
You get so
bouncing on your
used
head.
to that, you think nothing of it.
Yeah, he can,
It's a liner. If there any of you boys have questions or girls, I'd be answered, glad to answer. But Dad, I'll tell you what, I met this Dick Winters. I don't know if you know him or not. He's the guy that was in the 101st Airborne, and they wrote this. He wrote this book. What was the name of the book? And they made a movie on it. He was down at the Lititz Public Library, and he has a cousin. He has a cousin living there that his wife was in my class at school. And she said, Sketch, somebody wants to meet you. He shook my hand. He said, Sketch, your first thing, didn't we see a lot of death? I said, an awful lot. There was, oh yeah, where's that paper?
what paper?
A single piece of paper, isn't it? Forget it.
What the paper was it?
Like it's one of the campaigns of the year I was in forum on this ski day. Probably going to be brilliant.
This?
Yeah, that took a record of this one battle. Now listen, this is what's called the Battle of the Bulge. There were 776,800 American soldiers were casualties in that one battle. There's 8,607 were killed, 47,000 were wounded, and 26,000 were missing in action. And the Germans had 86,000 casualties, 12,000 were killed, and 38,600 wounded, and 30,000 missing. And it lasted, how long did it last? Not long, 38 days, I think. Because see, when they got to Bastogne, they thought this was going to be an easy trick for them. They thought they were going to split the Allies and the British in half. But if you get a GI mad, he's mad. You know what I mean? And don't think in the war you do everything an officer tells you to do. There was an American who could improvise. They're taught to lead, but some of them aren't always right. They find that out a couple of times. This one, the only officer that lived, although we had 7 officers killed, the only one that lived was the one that gave that told us we're the first night on the line, told us to stand fast. If we would have taken off quick, I'm sure we could have saved more lives. But he said, stand fast. But he died not too. Well, any questions?
Do you want me
Please,
to,
please, please.
do Did you ever see Hitler's face?
Did you ever see Hitler's face?
No, no, I never saw Hitler's face. No.
What is a ration?
What's a ration?
A ration? Oh my goodness. Well, we have can-1. It's a little
It's
box.
food.
It's food. It's about this big. It has a little can this big in it, and it's either hash, stew, or pan and beans. And the other half has a little pack of 5 cigarettes, had a little candy bar made with over chocolate about this big, and you couldn't bite it. You could just nibble on it like a rat. It was that hard. And then we had the C rations. There was cans about this big, and then 10-1 rations. It was enough rations for 10 men for 1 day. That's what I used to take out to the CPs. I'd jump them off and get out of there humming.
Okay,
But we did good, a lot of things. Like if we knew where we were, where the Germans were, if the Germans were over that hill, we'd pick out a house like over here, and we'd take a pair of GI coveralls and put a helmet and fill them with straw and put a helmet on top of it and see how long the house lasts. And we'd stand back and wait. Wasn't long that house was there no more. But we had an awful lot of casualties, I'll tell you. Death everywhere. All my buddies were killed. And we were in Holland, and I didn't tell you that story. We went in this hospital, my daily rations, and this farm of this town, you know, and everybody was running. All the people were running. I said to my driver, flag, I said, let's see where they're going. Here they went down into the town. There was a coal mine. You're right in the town, and you go down an elevator, and around there's a shed. And we walked down there, there was a whole bunch of people sleeping down there so they wouldn't get bombed. And I walked down there, and there's a big rat down there, and there was a little baby laying there, and the baby had the bottle laying on its chest and a rat was nibbling on the nipple of this bottle. And I said to my buddy, if that baby can lay beside rats and sleep, I'm going to sleep here tonight. That's true. You sleep anywhere. And we used to hook each other. If anybody saw us, they thought we were queer or nuts. We'd hook each other, you know, just to keep warm. We'd go out outside. We slept on the ground. You sleep on the ground. There's no bathroom facilities. You go where you have to go, and you just live like a dog, like an animal. You just try. Yesterday, you lived. Tomorrow, you're not worried about. You live for the moment. Because you could be staying there with 3 fellas, and all of a sudden the barrage will come in with artillery. One will be killed, the other 3 or 4 will leave. Now, why is that? That's the way life is, you know, in the army, in the war. It isn't pleasant, and it stays with you all your life. You can't get it out of your mind. I'll tell you that right now.